the last but not the least for our November to Remember series. If your friends are yet to join us, please use 1 minute to send them messages that we have started. There is a saying that the bottom pot is usually the sweetest, if you understand what that means. Today may be the last day for the November to Remember series, but I can guarantee you that today is going to be one of the sweetest days that we've had in the series. I mean, to me, it feels like, why would this episode end? It's like a season movie. The name itself sounds like a season movie to me, November to Remember. And we've all been characters and, cast and crew for the November to Remember series. Hopefully, maybe Dr. Celestine will tell us whether we'll have a season 2 next year, maybe, maybe it's going to be called September to Remember, October to Remember, the whole mba. It really makes it really sound cool and all that, Okay, guys, you're welcome to today, which is one of those days that we've had. It's been a wonderful time having the November to Remember series. So what is going to happen right now, just for the sake of those who are joining us for the first time, I'm hoping that nobody's really joining us for the first time, but just in case you're joining us for the first time, so sorry you've missed a lot, but maybe we can just do a slight recap. So what's going to happen is that I know I have like 18 people already joined. What can happen is just on the chat box, quickly, everybody just type anything at all that you can remember from any of the November series. For instance, I could remember Chidema saying something about having to put walking your dog in your CV in case you're applying for a particular role. So that could stand as what? As one of the experiences. That sounded funny, but that was really intriguing to me. Also, I had somebody like Abamuche say something about, he said that nothing is nothing, but everything is something. So quickly, everybody, your chat box, just tell me what you can remember from November to Remember series. I'm looking at the chat box now. So I'll be reading out what people are, right? Collaboration, somebody typed collaboration, winning CV, somebody typed winning CV. Be visible, creativity and innovation, collaboration. People are really remembering things from the November to Remember series. More, security. Yeah, of course, we did cybersecurity and somebody's remembering security. What else? Infrastructure. Okay. I mean, guys, if you're joining us for the first time, these are some of the things that we can remember from the series of November to Remember. Okie dokie. Today, we have somebody who has been the powerhouse of this particular series. He is the one that is going to be the resource person for today. I tell you, you don't want to miss this opportunity and you don't want your friends to miss this opportunity. I've been opportune to be in this person's class and I can tell you categorically that he's a storyteller that drives his point with telling us a lot of stories. And if you've been in his class, you can agree with me that his stories are really, really, really interesting when he's driving his point. He's very excellent in doing all that. But I would have to introduce, first of all, my co-moderator today. Her name is Abby. She's very wonderful and she may like to say hi to us. Abby, would you like to say hi to everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Okay, that's Abby's voice. She's going to be my co-moderator today. All right, guys. I'm just going to share my screen to let you know what we are going to be having today. You can already see that it's still the November to Remember series, but I'm going to have to share what the program is going to look like. So we're already having some sort of welcome address from me, and then we're going to be having an opening speech by our head of School of Art and Acting, and also head of School of Creativity Technology, University of Bolton, in the person of Sam Johnson. And then I'll have my wonderful co-moderator talk about our wonderful resource personality today, who is Dr. Celestine Iwendi. He has been with us from the beginning of this series. In fact, this is a blockbuster movie as far as I'm concerned. Maybe next year we're going to submit it to BAFTA or Oscar to give us some sort of award. We'll make it a documentary. I hope you guys are concurring with me anyways. All right, and after that, we're going to now have a wonderful talk, which is on the secret of academic research excellence by our very own Dr. Celestine Iwendi. So without further ado, I'm hoping that Sam is right here with us. Is he right here with us? Is she right here with us?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our very own Sam Johnson to just, give us some sort of welcome address. Sam, over to you.
Thanks ever so much. What brilliant opening hosting that was. It gets more dynamic every day. I think I just want to say, reflecting back upon the whole series, I think it's been wonderful the way in which you've all contributed to the hosting and introducing our speakers, and the double act of the two people working together. I think it's worked really, really well. And I think it's great that you're sort of hosting these really prestigious speakers. So thank you to all of those students, both this evening, but also throughout all of November, who played that great part. And I think it's really added to the dynamism and the enthusiasm of each of the sessions. And as I say, just to reflect back, really, I mean, even from yesterday's talk on Terraform to business development, to personal development, back to artificial intelligence, we've covered a fantastic spectrum of topics throughout the month of November. And I can certainly say I've learned a huge amount, both about generic personal and professional development skills, as well as about those multi-dimensions of computing. But as you're saying, I've no doubt that tonight we'll top it all with our very own Dr. Celestine, who's drawn this series together, and it'll be lovely to hear him talking about how we achieve research excellence. So that's enough from me, and back over to my hosts.
All right, thank you so much, Sam. You heard it from the horse's mouth. All other Sam Johnsons are counterfeit. This is the original Sam Johnson, and she's one and only Sam Johnson. Thank you, Sam, for that wonderful opening speech. And I'd like to hand over to my co-host today, wonderful Abby. Abby, you can take over now.
All right. So thank you so much, Casey. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Oh, okay. So I want to welcome our guest speaker to the very last episode in the November to Remember series, which you will all agree with me has indeed been a November to Remember. Dr. Celestine is a research coordinator and senior lecturer at the University of Bolton with a Ph.D. in electronics, security of things from the University of Aberdeen. He has 2 master's degrees, one from Uppsala University, Sweden, and the other from Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria. This is the same university where he obtained his BSc. His research interest and research subject specialism comprises artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, Internet of Things, machine learning, wireless sensor networks, and communication systems. His teaching specialism covers the same spectrums as his research interest and extends to business literacy and employment skills, research methods, and robotics. His publications are too numerous to start reeling out on this platform, but let me mention a few recent ones to appreciate his contributions to the body of knowledge. Cloud data encryption and authentication based on enhanced Merkle hash tree methods, exploratory data analysis, classification, comparative analysis, case severity detection, and Internet of Things in COVID-19 telemonitoring for smart hospitals, optimal coordination of PSS and SSC controllers in power system units using hand colony optimization algorithm, AI-powered blockchain and SDN integrated security architecture for IoT network of cyber physical systems, computer communications. As I said, these are just a few of his publications. Links will be shared at the end of the workshop for more details of his works. He is affiliated to the Faculty of Natural and Applied Sciences, Coal City University, Nigeria, where he is a visiting professor. He is an adjunct professor in Delta State University, Nigeria, He's a senior member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer, FHEA. He's a distinguished speaker, Association for Computing Machinery, ACM. He's a certified management specialist from the London Graduate School. He's a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, IMC, Nigeria. He's a fellow of the Higher Education Academy, FHEA. Senior member, IEEE, Computational Intelligence Society. He's listed among the top 20 scientists in the world. This list was compiled by Stanford University. Dr. Iwendi has mentored and supervised students at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. He has contributed to their intellectual growth and helped them gain new perspective on topics that occupy their academic curriculum. I believe with these sterling qualities, you will agree with me that he's a worthy ambassador for doing justice to the subject matter of today's lecture. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Iwendi as he shares from his wealth of experience and knowledge on the more talked about and highly demanded topic, the secret to academic research excellence. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Sometimes you begin to wonder, say, oh, are they talking about me or somebody else? You know, but it's so nice to have everyone here, and thanks to Sam for helping us throughout this series. And without much wasting time, I've been given this topic. A lot of people, in fact, December, January, March, have already been scheduled with this topic again. But and I felt it's right to give it to our own students and our own faculty, you know, because there are some things that you will see from it that will actually prove my point. Am I sharing screen now? Is it with me?
Yes, you can share your screen now.
Okay. All right. So no need again trying to give another introduction. We just go straight. We'll keep to the time. Okay, good. Now, there are three kinds of people that I've come across. One is those who create problems, those who solve the problems, and those who sit down to what the problems and their solutions. As I always say in my class, so they are problems creators. And when you don't solve a problem, you're actually creating a problem, you know. And research is ability to solve a problem. Research is ability to solve a problem. How do we solve this problem? How do we create a problem that we need to solve? By creating a problem is, in terms of research, in most of the papers, is the future work. So someone is creating a problem in a paper for others to either handle or for their own team to continue. Most times they don't actually continue it, but their paper becomes a base paper to what problems you have solved or you are going to solve. So we are looking at the outline in terms of research excellence, research definition. Here we'll talk about challenging your creativity, you know, and then we'll look at citation indexing and concept. We'll look at how is it important? Why does it matter in your place of work? You know, I will also prove that research is not just for someone who has a PhD. Research is, if you want any organization, any research organization, academic, the universities, the secondary school, the colleges, to move higher, to get funding, you need to bring in research. We'll look at the methodology, you know, that they are using now currently on research. So sometimes, especially during the COVID, most companies were practically closed. And what is government doing? Government is putting in money to these companies. So you may say, oh, I'm not interested in research. And tomorrow you find yourself in a redundant company where you need the assistance of government to support. And then they now say, okay, because you are working in a company that has to do with pharmacy, for example, pharmacology. And then they say, okay, Now we have COVID at hand. So you are supposed to get funding. There are actually some funding that is directed to companies. The companies have to spearhead, they have to be the lead, while the universities will have to follow them. In other words, research is everywhere and in everything. So, but if you know how to do research, when you work in that company or you work in the academic sector, you won't panic. You will know that, yes, this is another area, and there is nobody who will move up in any achievement. Like I keep saying, it takes one idea to get to the top, but it takes many ideas to remain at the top. So ability to create something is research. So we look at that, we look at Web of Science, why a body or that is known in terms of having impact factors, the bias people have about some citation indices, the research index, the comment on that. We look at research proposal, format of a good paper, and then we'll come into conclusion. Now, this is research. Research is like someone who is a top class researcher and is there with a jealous girlfriend because you are in the top. And when you are in the top, you don't actually look at it. It's not a competition. Like I told my class, I said, you don't compete with anybody. You compete with your yesterday. So a researcher does not compete. This fine lady was not interested in that guy. She was just focused on her goal, focus on her movement with a smile. Because when you are doing research, you are actually producing smiles in the academic world. You're actually moving forward in your career. You're actually developing something that others will be jealous of. And then whether you know it or not, you are listed. In fact, when they listed us in Sanford, some of us were like, oh, we never knew it was like this. So you will be creating records without you knowing you are creating records. So that is how research is. You be on the top and others are looking out on you. Then what does research excellence mean? Research excellence is clearly discipline specific. Now remember, we're talking about research. Most of you are in masters, most of you are in undergraduate. You will definitely come up to this, and some are aspiring to go into PhD. Now we have the department, in the School of Creative Technologies, and we're already creating something that will allow you to come in to continue. Remember what I said in the class for research method. If you can do masters, you are on the step forward to do PhD. If you can do masters, you can do PhD. Then why stop in masters? Because you're already in the research form. So why stop there? So move a little more into doing a PhD. So we are preparing this package to allow you understand this is what research is. That once you have done masters, you should have just stopped in bachelor if you don't want to do anything research. But once you have done masters, you are practically put your foot inside research. And that is why PhD becomes the next thing. And I've told you what it does, that once you have your PhD, you can never be out of job. You become a creator of circumstances. You become a creator of that job. So, but the common characteristics of world-class researchers is that we are involved in shifting paradigms and creating new models of human understanding. That is it. Every idea becomes important. We are creatively involved, constructively criticizing perceived wisdom in a specified field, according to Michael Author. So that is what research excellence means. Now look at the full definition now of research. Now, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, defines research as creative work undertaken on a systemic basis in order to create the stock of knowledge, including knowledge of man, knowledge of culture, knowledge of society, and the use of this stock of knowledge to devise new applications. I just got a mail from South Africa a few minutes ago that UNESCO have now said for those in Africa, they want to have a stock of knowledge where research can be made open, results made open, codes made open. Why? So that they can solve problems. Gone are those days where you have a paper and then you don't have the two, you don't have the coding, you don't have the data. Now, data is very important. Actually, all the papers, in IEEE and other publications became free, especially when it has to do with COVID. Why? And then you see some countries were like, give us the license. Let us reproduce this, the COVID vaccine. This is how research is. Some people did the work and some of them were paid off. Why other countries wanted the same license so that they can reproduce to save humanity. So that is what research has gone into now. Ability to work on data, get the data, and let the data be transferable. That people can use your code, people can use your results to generate their own results and make it much more better. So like I said, research is not limited. It's not selective. It is now left for everyone to do so that we can increase the stock of knowledge. Now, what are the purposes? I listed 3 things, which is very important when you're working on research. Helping your organization to grow. I said here, university, because if you're in the university sector, that is what you do. But if you are in the other industry sector, we also have research areas. In fact, there's no industry that would have started without research. And that is why you see them producing something. You have iPhone 10, iPhone 11, iPhone 12, iPhone, why? They keep on researching and seeing how they can develop more things. So the research department of the industry is not to be played with. They are there to produce results. They are the force behind that company. So if you are going to be employed in that company, you are going to be part of the force because you are doing your master's, because you're passed through the university sector. They believe that you should be one of the team that will force the company to remain a company, to remain competitive, to remain in terms of generating funding. So the same way it comes into the university sector. In the ranking system, for example, the research influence of a university is measured by the number of times that work by an academic at that university is cited by another scholar. This is why it's very important that every researchers at the end of the year, we have this appraiser where we check out how many papers we have been able to contribute. Because for the school, for the university, which you are going to be part of, to be competitive, to be able to get funding, to be able to apply for research grants, we need to make name, we need to make news by the paper you are citing, by your publication, and by how many people have cited your work. So it's not just you probably, but one of my friends from South Africa, I was talking with him yesterday, and he said, oh, and I discovered he has 18 papers last year, and this year he has 18 papers already. And I told him, but I did not see them being cited. That you're just producing papers, but your paper is not being cited. That means, how do we check the quality of what you are doing? Actually, he's doing a very good work. I've looked at his papers, and I said, you are lacking, you are not benefiting something to the school in completeness. Because they are only working on a particular area where the work is not cited. What grows your universities in ranking is the citation that comes from your publication. It also makes what we call the personal growth. The more research visibility and impact, the higher your opportunities for excellence. The more research visibility, that we have been talking about visibility in all aspects, not just in jobs, but also in publication. There is no way you can have only one publication and get a job when someone else who has 20 publications has applied for that same job. And that is why I told you research publication is very important, even as bachelors, bachelor degree, master's degree, how many publications do you have? These are the things you need to use to weigh your impact in the stock of knowledge. How many publications? If none, begin to work on this. Now, that is why we're having this topic here, to motivate you to excellence. Then technological growth and work recognition. Like I said, to become senior member of IEEE and all that, they require your input. you know. So once you are visible, you have input in what you are doing, you'll be recognized worldwide. You'll be like, for we that are listed in the 2% top scientists in the list, you know. So these are all the things that comes up from research, helping your university or your organization to grow, your personal growth, you know, increasing your H index, which I'll come to soon, and all that. Now, look at what I mean by the university setting, how the ranking is being graded. Some of you may not have seen this, but it's very important that you see the word university ranking. Now, no matter how good we are in teaching, it is only 30%. So that is why we are looking at this. How do we diversify to make sure that we have this in its entirety, have it built up, you know, in you that are the students listening, because so that you know what you will be seeing, especially in your organizations or in your university for the ranking. Look at the teaching, the learning environment, 30%, reputation survey, staff to student ratio, doctorate to bachelor's ratio, doctorates awarded to academic staff ratio, institutional income. So sometimes when you see this thing, oh, the school is rated 200 in the world, you know, this is the methodology. This is what they do. Now look at the research volume. Research is 30%. The same way, the same what do you call it, percentage with teaching. The volume, the income, and the reputation. Reputation survey, research income, research productivity. Now, take note again, 30% comes to citation, because the citation shows your research influence. It shows how many people have cited the work. How many people have cited the work? Now, some of us actually started research, like when Tiba spoke and he said the other time, you know, how we came to research and our paper was rejected. Actually, before then, our paper were being rejected many times. And people like us got early, we got discouraged. And I said, what is the essence? Our papers are not accepted anyway. After 3-4 months of working, and someone just, you know, in 1 hour condemn everything you have done. It can be very discouraging. But then, when I started now seeing the importance of, you know, listening to a topic someone delivered on research, just the way I'm delivering it now, my mentality changed. I now started seeing the gain in research. You know, first was the monetary part of it from where I worked before, you know, and then they said, well, they'll give us 30,000 RMB because the school wanted to move up. And I said, oh, 30,000 RMB. Then I released one paper, they paid the 30,000 RMB, you know, and then I released 10. Then it became a problem. I said, but you people said you're going to pay 30,000. They said, no, your own is crazy, you know. So by that motivation, we entered fully into research. So citation, that people cite your work, can go a whole long way to help your organization, 30%. Now look at another one, international outlook. That is what we'll talk about, collaboration, staff, students, research. You know, 7.5%. How many international students are in the school? International to domestic student ratio, international to domestic staff ratio, international collaboration, 2.5%. Now look at the industry. So the industry is also part, you know, the collaboration with industry is also part of the methodology that increases the university's ranking. The knowledge, 2.5%. But take note of the citation, take note of the research, and take note of the teaching. That 3 of them already is 90%. And with that 90%, it can move the university. Sometimes you see why universities move from low and then the next thing is high. Our school, we are very good now in terms of teaching. Well, that's what we said, teaching inform, you know, teaching intensify and research inform, very lovely. But we as a department, we are moving now into full research where we want to help most of you to develop this research ability and help with any other company or industry or organization that you find yourself tomorrow. Okay, now challenging your creativity. We have seen how good it is for us to develop research ability. Then, but the important thing is about research is idea. Idea. The idea that you put into writing becomes a paper. The idea that you put in. The other time I was talking in the class how I saw in the farm, and I saw how the ants ate up a chicken and left nothing behind. And I traced it, and I saw how they moved, and I tried to block the ants, and then I saw that the way the ants came, and then they started moving around it, and I created a security algorithm from it, and then from there a paper came out. A paper came out just by your idea. Sometimes you get idea in a different place. Now, research is not, you can get idea from people working in agriculture. You can get idea from people working in economics. You can get different ideas from the medical. We have written a lot of medical papers. We are not medical doctors, but we have written a lot of medical things. In fact, actually, I met a doctor who was telling me, I went for a check in Sweden, and the doctor said, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a lecturer." He said, "What do you lecture?" I said, "Artificial intelligence." He said, "Who?" He said, "I have an issue with artificial intelligence." Okay, let us discuss it. He said, okay, that the Swedish government wanted them to take all the artificial intelligence results and treat people without actually testing them. He said, without actually testing them. And then I said, no, artificial intelligence is not here to take your job. It's not here to do what you should do. Artificial intelligence is here to aid you on doing your job. So when I explained to him what we do in artificial intelligence, he was enlightened. It was like, wow, this is artificial intelligence. I said, no, it's, because people think, especially most of our crowd in Asia, they think, oh, we are too many, artificial intelligence is going to take their job. I said, no. So every time I teach on that, people ask that question. I say, it's not. It's not taking your job. It's aiding your job. It's making your job move faster, because we cannot remove you from it. When we look at artificial intelligence 2.0, which is the next generation artificial intelligence that is coming in 2030, spearheaded by China, we begin to see human intelligence and, the collaboration between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. These are all the next generation that people are looking at in that. But like I said, idea comes from everything, comes from your thoughts, and then you put it down. Idea that is written down becomes a research paper. Then by publishing it, that means you disseminate research paper. We were in a conference in Italy, and the professor said he got an idea, and then he shared it with someone and left the idea, without doing anything with it. And then after 6 months, someone else has already produced a paper on that idea. And then he said something, which I noted. He said, once you have an idea, put it down immediately. Let there be a publication in it. He said, because every idea, that the way idea came to you, is also the way idea will go to another person. And then the person who sees first and put it down, either you patent it or you publish a paper in it, you say, that is the one that goes. You disseminate your research. And then by that, you have, your publication out. So he said, don't delay. Don't delay. There are some papers we have submitted, and I told the GE, I said, these papers have stayed 6 months. And we're looking at the COVID instances in Mexico and Brazil. And I said, well, then we use 6 months, data. But now, the 6 months, a lot of things has happened. So if a paper is not published immediately, why I tell people, don't go to journals that we say it takes 1 year to publish. Because by that time your paper is coming out, within that, after 1 year, your result is outdated. It's outdated. So very few people want to cite, an old paper or an old result. We already did that work. So I told the GE yesterday, and I said, this paper, you are now going to make us, when they now said we should do a kind of check before it is finally out. I said, by then we are going to change some of the results, because the result does not stand the test of time. It's already outdated by 6 months. So a research that you have done should be disseminated almost immediately. The same way in your PhD, you know, when you start your PhD, you will discover that you have a good idea. But within 3 years, what you started is not always what you end with. At the end of the day, you have a sheet. And as I tell my students, I say, publish as you go. That is the secret. Publish as you go. Don't pile it up to wait for, at the end of my PhD, I will publish. At that end, you will discover that your results are outdated. Number two, you discover that you almost have to start afresh again. So disseminate research paper as soon as you have it. Now, a few days ago, I celebrated 21 papers in 1 year. Someone said, how do you do it? I said, when I have an idea, I put it down. When I put it down, I look for collaborators who will make it work. And then we put it down. The next thing, I look for a good venue. And then once I have the venue, I send it out. And then the papers are out. And then I told them, I said, what even delays our paper is the process of review, editor-in-chief, the guest editor approving, the reviewers returning. I said, that is what wastes my papers. And some, of course, also go through like 3-4 reviewers, and then some goes into first review, second review, third review. I said, these are all the things that waste time in papers. But we are not deterred. What do? We keep on producing. Some they accept, some they said no. If they accept all our papers, it's going to be quite much more than 21 I have this year. But the secret is, once the idea is there, once I have put it down on the paper, the next thing is to see how the result, I have a good data, because if your data is wrong, your result will be wrong. Once I have that and I have good venue, I send it in. Like now, I have 500 venues already. So if I have 500 papers, we can have 500 papers citation from University of Bolton. That is a boom to the university ranking for next year already. So these are the old things that can help any organization move forward. Now, what I call making your research a simple stupid, we picked that word from Abamuche. It says step 1, ask questions. Step 2, brainstorm. Brainstorm your research. Step 3, locate resources. Step 4, take notes. Step 5, organize your work. And step 6, improve. This is how the research goes. Because people think research is very difficult. Oh, I've been teaching so much, I don't have that time for research. I can't. Oh, no, I tell them, you even by teaching, you have more input. The problem is put it down. When we ask questions, which I will analyze again in another flowchart, when we ask questions, we try to know what, why, how. A research is being made. What, why, how, what are we doing? What problem are we trying to solve? Then I brainstorm, bring in collaboration. That is step 2. Because only you cannot produce a paper. I think Dr. Tibat mentioned it also. Only you cannot generate. He started producing papers by linking up with me, but he went far because he was collecting papers, different one. But for me, I was very choosy, choosy or kind of. I wanted a very strong paper, but he was like, no, he wants everyone to come in. And, so we have different ideologies about paper publication. And then he ended up having more than 3,000 citations in 1 year, So step 3, locate resources, find data. Because like I said, if your data is wrong, all your results will be wrong. So we have the data. Now UNESCO, IEEE have data ports, and many other publications, they are now saying they have data free, because those days it was very expensive. People sell data. Now they are making data to be free. So if you belong to IEEE, you can actually access this data, or using the university link to get this data, even if you are not if you are not a member of IEEE or ACM, you can get this data. Then you take notes. You take note. When you have the resources, you take note. You drive down what, why, how of what others have done. That is why we have it in literature review. That take notes you do helps you not to plagiarize other people's work. You pick out what have they done. You find the hole. You find the debate. in what they have done. By the time you look at that, you have jotted down something that will help your own research. Then you organize all your work together. You put them up together, and then you improve of that work. By improving of that work becomes a novelty. I know a lot of PhD students, I don't have novelty. How will I have it? Even your masters, your dissertation, some of you have been worried. How do I have a topic? This is it. This is how you have a topic. This is how you can have a topic for your masters and have a topic for your PhD. And once you have the topic, without waiting for your supervisor to give you a topic, because you understand it, you will not have a kind of shipwreck of your ideas. You perfectly and nicely finish your research because you know it's coming from you. So making your research a simple, stupid. Then once you have it, you can improve the work or get a novelty from that work. The fun begins. So now we now move into citation indexing. Citation indexing, like we have said, you know, articles makes linking the article with cited works. This is area where you have 30% that goes into university ranking, 30%. So it's very important, not just to produce the papers, but for people to cite your work. And for them to cite your work, they need to know you. You have to be visible. The same way like getting a job. You know, because most times some journals will say 20, they only want 25 citation references. They want 25 references or 40 references, not too much, except if it is a survey, like Dr. Tiba explained. When it's a survey, you have many references. Then, but in those references that are 40 in top journal, you know, in top journal, if your work finds a space in that place, that means it's one citation already. And then if you have more in different ones, the more you have, the more it increases your H index, which I will explain at the end of this. So citation was originally designed for literature search, for researchers to find subsequent articles, that will help them give a given article. But now it's very important. There are some countries that take citation very seriously. In fact, some jobs take it very seriously before you are being employed. How many citations do you have? What is your Google citation? You know, Web of Science citation, your ResearchGate citation, or your OK visibility. All these areas makes your research area very important. So you can come into it by creating your own profile. Once you have your own profile, you start adding papers and papers to it. And then on its own, they have an algorithm that pick wherever your papers are mentioned. They picked it and then they record it. So it's very important. Now it's being used for job applications, for job interview, for promotion, and all that. So why do we do literature search? So that we don't duplicate work. Like I keep telling my students, avoid citing papers that are 3 years back, too back. You know, you can't cite papers of 1990. Of course, I can cite it if it is the originality of that idea. But if it is an idea that has been, or idea I want to improve, but if it is a paper that has been very old and you are citing their results, you discover that I was citing their future works. 1990, 1991, somebody may have solved the problem. So I'm citing it in 2021 means that it's an old research. So some papers actually that I got to review, I discovered that the citation, the references were old, too old, and the work has been done. So they wasted 6 months replicating other people's work that has been done, even with better results. And those papers were rejected. So to avoid waste of time, effort, and funding, because most of these papers also get funding before they are published, and if they have funding, you don't need to put your funding into literature research that is so far behind. I tell them, use papers that are current. That's why if you check my Google Scholar, you see papers that are, so on top are those ones from 2020, 2020, that is last year. And that makes you more visible, your result more authentic for others to use. The plagiarism issues. This is why we do literature search, so that we don't copy other people's work. Then Institute of what you call Scientific Information, ISI. We have the database, you have the Science Citation Index, we have the Social Science Citation Index. These are institute or databases that have impact factors, because we have different between the ones that are just scopus and the ones that have impact factor. You can say 3.5, 1.2, no matter how small the impact factor is. Sometimes you have 25 for very top impact factor. And the higher the impact factor, the stronger your point in terms of citation, and also either for personal or for university. So we have all this set aside. And then in terms of multidisciplinary, they cover virtually all disciplines, whereas traditional indexing and abstract service are limited to a single field. So in all areas, we have this SCI, SSCI, and HCI. So we call it web of knowledge, dynamic integrated web-based environment that provide access to citation, index, over 3,200 journals. So most of the time, if you want to pick a journal, you first check what is the quality of where you are sending your paper to. And these are always updated, well is the quality. So when you check Web of Science, for example, to know, do they have impact factor? All the ones we produce in 21, they're not just Scopus, they're higher than Scopus. That means they all have impact factor. That means they are top journals, top related journals. And these are the things the Web of Science also take note and record down for you and record for the school. So when they are grading it, any paper that carries the school name goes to that. And then it helps to increase their ranking and their points and draw more students to the school. So the concept symbolizes the conceptual association of scientific ideas as recognized by publishing research authors. So we cite their papers and make explicit linkages of their current research, prior work in the archive of scientific literature. The more visibility you are, the more people will cite your work. Then we have, you remember, citation and references. These are two things. People, you work and you put references, but others will cite your work. So we say a arrow contains a reference to C, and C has a citation from R. So the number of citations a paper has is found by looking up in the citation index and seeing how many papers that were being mentioned. That is why we have the Web of Science, like I've showed you. So we can navigate through all this in that Web of Science. Advantages of this is that it helps, it's faster, it has no limit, and it increases a whole lot. Cited references are being indexed. And remember, every publication you make, because when you put your name Celestine Iwendi, the next thing, where does it work? The University of Bolton. So it goes. So as you move, your school is moving, your organization is moving. That's how it is. So if you decide not to do anything for your organization, you are not helping matters. You are practically killing the organization because you are not making impact. That's why we say teaching is not enough, because teaching is just 30%. We have to find a way to bring all this together and make it possible, having autonomous citation indexing that will improve whatever we are doing, and showcase the school outside. So we have, so the bias is that some people feel, okay, it has a lot of English, it's controlled by the US more, that's why China have their own because of their language, or non-English speaking word perspective. People cannot write because of the English. But what papers do, most journals will tell you, we tell reviewers, tell us, guest editors, and say, don't bother about the English, bother about the technicality of the work. And then they will tell you, can you send it? Because they have the section that handles their, how they can improve their English, improve the grammar in the work and all that. So when we actually look, it's not our job to do. Our job is to check the technical aspect of that research, which I'm going to show soon. So we don't, that bias has been settled. You may not speak English very well. The important thing is your idea. What are you trying to sell? What are you trying to showcase? What problem are you trying to solve? Do you have good figures for it? What, do you have, I got one paper today that I've analyzed. The first thing I went to was the figures. Does the figures make sense? Is it professionally done? These are all the things that we do in research to check the quality of the paper. Then the next thing is plagiarism check. It must be less than, all my papers must be less than 12%, plagiarism. But people say, yeah, but you are in computer science, engineering, a lot of words are the same. I say, yes, even though they are the same, but you have to find a way to make sure that you are not copying your work, old work, or somebody said work. Then we have the research index and sites here, how we also use that to check. We have the download papers from the web. This is how research index picks out your citation and also record it for you. All this Google, Bolton, ResearchGate, you don't need to do anything just by registering. They pick all these things because they have a algorithm that picks all these things. So it's not just that you are there changing it yourself. The system is programmed to do it for you, and acquire those documents for you, acquire those what do you call this, URL, and the references, where you were cited and all that, and then put it very well for you. Now, even in the university, we have the UBIR, where our papers are also being sent in, and then all these are followed. Why? So that the students will get all these details more. So we have a lot of advantages of that site here, and then it has, of course, areas of improvement also. Then we have the Scopus journal, like if you are coming into the university for PhD, they will say they have 4 papers from Scopus. Scopus is generally accepted because every paper that is SCI, SSCI, AHCL, like we have mentioned, all of them are passed through Scopus. Scopus is like the basic of, peer review publication that is high. Some of them may not have impact factor. The ones that have are the ones we say they are SCI, SSCI. Those ones are much more higher. But Scopus is something very much more important and applicable for our school, and also in most of the Asia school we have spoken. Then you have the Scopus journal, just like the Web of Science also. Let me go into bibliometric analysis because of time. Now, look at this, very important. What do you do in a research? How do you make a good paper? Introduction. What, why, how? I've showed this to our students. This has been downloaded by 100,000 people. When I put it up, I was trying to look at how do I make research simple, stupid? How do I make it as simple as possible so that people can enjoy what is research? That was where this idea came in. Showing your research proposal. And I know some of you have followed this while you are writing your proposal. But why it's here is for you to understand that the basic of good paper comes from what you can make up from your research question. What, why, how? That is the summary of your proposal. Then you go into literature review, which some of you are going in now, in terms of literature on topic, literature on method, theoretical approach. That is answering why and how. Then you find a whole. When you're citing people's paper, you are finding what did they not do well? What was the assumption they made? What kept them? Why did they not use all? Why did they use a little? You look for debates. And then from that debate, you find out what can you extract from it that will make your own paper reasonable. So like I said, research on topic, research on their method, theoretical approach they have used. These are all parts that make a literature review. Then you have the research design, methodology, research procedures, kind of data you are going to use, collection procedures, selection and process, human subject review, ethics statement, cost and funding comes into methodology. That is how will I make this work? Inside methodology, that's where you have the algorithm. What steps will you take for this work to be finished? Evidences of importance informs methodology, gives you the preliminary data, or what we call the preliminary result. Findings, important categories, how are they related? Then you move into statement of limitation, alternative to your work, weaknesses. One, you can never say my research is the best. Of course, we say we have 90% more when we are dealing with artificial intelligence. What will your research do? Then you come back again to the same question. What, how, why of what you do. That's where you put your contribution and you put your importance. And then how to read and bring out novel ideas in paper. no copying. For quick overview, you read the title, you read the keywords, you read the abstract, you read the introduction, you read the conclusion, you browse through the whole paper, and you give attention to the figures and tables. And you can get these papers from anywhere, either from People's Google Scholar, from IE Explore, Science Direct, ACM Digital Library, web of pages of researchers. Sometimes you can search a researcher and see in his own page the papers he has published. And sometimes you see it for free. Repository, like the University UBIR is there, ResearchGate. A lot of people, you can write someone in ResearchGate and say, oh, I want this article. I can't find it anywhere. Can you please send it to me? A good researcher will always respond. Sometimes they have it already in the database and they just share it with you. So you increase your H-index when you are visible, when you're a good researcher. You boost your H-index, you collaborate with more mature researchers, and then you check your journal carefully. You publish open access, think about your audience, you network. Work on your writing, show up on social media, because that is when people will come to you and say, oh, one of my friends just called me and said, oh, Celestine, the paper I did with you, 3 of them, now I'm getting invitation everywhere to come and speak. And then funny enough, he's not fully into AI. He said, what will he speak? What will he tell them? And I told them, when they call, they write to you, send them to me. So that is how it is, because he has been producing papers with me, and then he felt, oh, they are inviting him. I said, the way they're inviting you, they're also inviting me in different other areas. So H-index is an author-level metric that measures your productivity and citation impact of the publications of a scientist or scholar, which is increasing that of the organization also. It's calculated. How is it calculated? Don't bother. Don't think of your paper, oh, one paper out of, let's say, 17 papers, and one has 100, and the other ones have not. You only have one H-index. So make sure that when people ask you, oh, I love your papers, I say, please, can you cite different ones? Don't let them say you have 100, because by having only 100 citation in one paper will give you only 1 point. But if you have 17 papers cited 17 times, you will have 17 H-index. So don't make sure that your papers, watch out my Google Scholar. You see that the papers are being cited, the work, it shows how much you are put into all the works, not just one particular one, but everyone moves ahead. And that is what increases your H-index. So in summary and goals, my goal is to increase publication, increase research visibility, increase collaboration, establishment of a center of excellence for advanced research in robotics, AI, cybersecurity that will bring more researchers and bring more funding, and also ability to generate more papers. Because once you have this, you can collaborate with anyone, anywhere in the world. Increase citations. Currently, like I said, for some of you who wants to publish, we have up to venues that can take up to 500 papers, because you cannot publish in venues I have and not cite my paper. So if 500 papers cite 2 of my papers, that is 1,000 citation from those 500 papers. If they cite more, that is more. So go into collaboration for people that will use your work to increase their own work. It helps you to gain word influence and networking. Use your LinkedIn very well, because that is where you have researchers. We encourage our master students to have at least 1 top publication. That's our goal. Our goal, once you have submitted for students of Bolton, our goal is to make sure you have 1 top publication. And we're going to make it happen. And then, of course, PhD students should have much more. Without you paying anything, we'll make sure it comes. And then to increase, like I said, once you have done masters, there's nothing stopping you in doing PhD. Because masters is 1 step of research. The next step, PhD is knowing more and more of less and less. So the higher you go, the lesser you know. But then you know lesser of lesser things. So we encourage you to think of PhD. Even now, this is time you have to start planning. What will you need to do? And if you have a very good proposal, you can send it down to us. If we have good funding, it's possible that your PhD fees could be paid if there is funding. And then it helps the university ranking. the most important is that your research will also become a community that empowers businesses. This is very, very important. I think my time is up. This is my thank you dance. And question time. Thank you.
Wow, wow, that's interesting. You would agree with me that that was really a wonderful eye-opener to what research excellence is. I'm sure lots of people here would have one or two questions to ask in terms of research, and there are lots of master students here who are already, looking for topic for their dissertation and all that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the appropriate time for you to use the raise your hand reaction and tell me if you have a question. So what would happen is that if you raise your hand for a question, Dr. Celestine is going to pick according to the hands that he sees from his screen. So if you have a question, quietly raise up your hand and Dr. Celestine is going to attend to your questions. All right, guys, we have one person, I guess, Celestine.
Yeah, Ucho Boko, I can see that should be a doctor. Yeah. Okay. Can you ask your question now? Or mute your mic.
In Nigerian time is good evening. So I would say good evening.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
I would say good evening. Well, I'm of the Faculty of Humanities. Then you have spoken so well. I enjoyed the topic. I gained a lot. Where we need to collaborate, how to make our work visible and to gain more visibility. That's interesting. Then I want to find out if University of Bolton has any collaboration, or is there any way we can collaborate, those of us in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities who studied English, how can we come into this arrangement? Because we are not of the engineering faculty. Is there any way we can come in? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sam should ask that, should answer that.
Yes, I can answer that. Well, across our school, so we're the School of Arts and Creative Technologies, and we're very, very much in favour of collaborative working. And we have a team of fantastic research coordinators, one of whom is Celestine, who represents the computing and creative technologies areas. And we have a couple of other professors, Professor Jill Marsden, who represents English, Arts and Humanities, and also Professor Paul Hollins, who pretty much is a bit of a polymath and knows about all sorts of things about all sorts of things, and has links in lots of different disciplinary areas. So if you want to research and collaborate with us, then work through Celestine, and then he can feed through any information to that group of research coordinators who meet regularly and who are really sort of building momentum across the whole school. So yes, we'd welcome any opportunities for research collaboration in the arts and humanities just as much as we would in the sciences.
Lovely. Lovely. I will send my my email so that if you have anything, and then I can forward it to Sam to take up later.
Okay, that will be appreciated. Thank you.
All right, guys, more questions, more questions. If you have a question for your dissertation, this is the best time to ask that question, guys. So we have at least next 2 minutes or 5 minutes. While I'm waiting for people, my own question is quite simple. It may sound really weird, but I'm going to ask the question. Dr. Celestine, is there a possibility that people are doing research in places that there is not supposed to be a research in? Because I've been in a program where they say that some people are solving problems that are not supposed to be solved. Is there a possibility that people are doing research where there is not supposed to be any research? And if they spend so much time in doing those kind of researches that are not supposed to be, what would be the reaction to those kind of research if it gets rejected, or if someone comes and say, you know what, this research is not worthwhile? How would people be able to react and be able to go in for another research if they've had so much investment in doing a research where probably research is not needed?
Okay. Now you are looking at research in terms of positivity. Research can also be in terms of negativity. That I do something and I have result is a research that is positive. That I do something that did not bring a result is also a result that shows don't do this. So I can cite your paper and say, oh, Kelechuku did this paper and he used this method which did not give anything. So I will not use that method. In other words, I've cited your work. So research, so if you see, don't think those people were doing something, we're not doing something. No, they're all doing research. The thing is, you are looking at it as only you must have a result. No, research can also be disproving or approving what was done before. That is why our codes are in GitHub. You know, we put our code. If you check on my papers, you see our codes are there, the software, you know, the program and everything. Why? So that others will do it. When they do it and they say, oh, this is good. Okay, then they can use your code. People cite your papers on three things: on your data, on your code, on your productivity of your research. These are three things that make people to cite your papers. So sometimes people can look at your paper and cite it. Oh, I saw the code they did. I love the code. And they use your code, replicate your code, they cite you. They can say, oh, your data that you generated, either qualitatively or quantitatively, oh, this is a good data. They use your data. They will cite you. If they don't cite you, it is, scientifically wrong. It is plagiarism. So this is, so they cite you also, oh, you have a good paper, you have your good figures. Oh, then they can also pick your idea. Like I keep telling people, don't copy people's figures and use, try to recreate it. But if I recreate it, I will also cite where I got that idea from, So by citing them, I'm giving credit to those who have already done that work. So their research can be, they're working on something and generating. So they can either be productive to prove what has been done, confirm what has been done, disprove what has been done, or find a way to say, don't use this method because it is wrong method. We have done some research and we discovered the method we used were wrong. And that was, my students were like, no, let's remove it. I said, no, it's a research. So that others reading the paper will know that don't follow this route. It's like you are going to Manchester and you want to go through the back door, through the train, and they say, don't go through because you will not get to where you're going to. That is how research is. So it's either you are going through the normal road or through the back road, because there will always be a back road, a quick fix to things. But those quick fix, most of the time, may not be the genuine fix. So whatever anybody is doing, just keep doing.
Okay. All right. So that means there is no such thing as a bad report or research, rather. Wow, that's interesting. It's just like, I once heard someone saying that nobody is actually useless. That even the person you refer to as useless can be cited as an example. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, that means that person is actually not useless. Mm-hmm. All right, great. It's so unfortunate that we will be coming to an end of the November to Remember series. This has been a blockbuster series movie, 9 episodes, if you were there from the start. And I'm hoping that by the time I call up Sam for the next thing that she's going to do, maybe she's going to tell us if we'll have a season 2 of this sometime next year. Sam, welcome back to the event this evening.
Thank you so much. I don't know if there's going to be a series 2, to be honest, Kelly, because that would be down to our Dr. Iwendi and other colleagues in the department. But I mean, I wanted to ask a couple of questions actually of Celestine. For example, I mean, obviously you've worked in several other universities. You have an excellent knowledge of international university life, if you like. And I'm aware that in other universities, they tend to have, at master's level, postgraduate level, a student publication prize. And it's not something we've ever established, but I wondered if there would be an appetite within the department for that to happen now, given that we have such a growing master's community here. And also a growing PhD community. Do you think that's something we could develop together, Celestine?
Oh yes, that's a very good one. It will be a good motivation. And we should start it with these current master students. so that if they're able to have publication, and then we have a prize for it. But like I said, the goal is to have 500 papers, you know. So if we are going to have 500 papers, and then in January, I think we are having like 120 or so. So we have quite a whole lot of people, but we'll put a prize to it. We'll have like first, second prize. And then I also try to get IEEE to get involved. They will have a plaque from IEEE to make that possible.
Yeah. That would be fantastic. So let's instigate that, and hopefully some of the participants in the window this evening will be interested in joining in that adventure, because it's something we've not done before. And I also wanted to ask something about the curriculum in the masters at the moment. Are there opportunities for students to collaborate together? Given that a lot of the talks that we've enjoyed over the last month have been about the true benefits, the real value and treasures that can be found in collaborative research, are there opportunities for students to collaborate together?
Yes, well, actually in research method, I did it. The first one, I allowed 2-3 of them to come together, you know, in terms of ideas. And later I separated the ideas from them. You know, in one idea, they have the aim, but they have different objectives. So now they are working on that in the objectives, but they have the goals, you know. So I expect them to have different areas coming together so that it will help them in their dissertation at the end of it. So they are working together, and then I've given them, all of them, open position in terms of if they want to join outside research. So now I've gotten 4 people, you know, from different ones who have written, and I'm saying it again here, open publication to join my other colleagues from any part of the world in terms of publication. So like 2 of them now reviewing, we'll make them top reviewers in top, you know, conferences and top journal. So they can be reviewer, which will increase their CV. You know, it will increase their CV. They'll put it in their CV that they are reviewer of IEEE, Internet of Things, or INDAWI, or, you know, MDPI electronics, you know, because the more we go, the more we bring them in. So I've told them that, and then some are already saying, oh, they're interested. But at the same time, I don't want them to be overloaded based on their assignments they're doing now. So I've told them in January, based on their topics, we can now look at it and give them the possibility of collaboration with outsiders. We'll make that happen for them.
Excellent, that's fantastic. And I just noted as well in the chat, I think Asma was asking about opportunities for studying for PhDs at the University of Bolton. And I think both Celestine and I would say absolutely yes.
Yes.
The opportunities there, we have the supervision capacity in colleagues, you know, excellent colleagues such as Celestine and Dr. Thar and Mohammed Shah and so on. We have a really great team within the computing department who could work with you throughout that whole process. So if anybody has an interest in talking about developing PhD ideas or ideas that could be turned into a PhD, then yes, please do talk to Dr. Celestine about that. We're very, very keen to grow that community within the school and the university. So yes, Asma is the answer. Okay. Right, well, unfortunately, on this evening, I do not have an award to hand over to Celestine, because of course he creates the awards and he's so humble and modest, he didn't want to create an award for himself. So unfortunately, I don't have one. I don't have an award to hand over to Celestine, although all of our other speakers have, and have been very, very appreciative of that. But I'm sure, speaking from my heart, and I'm sure speaking on behalf of everybody here, would like to say a huge thank you to our Dr. Iwendi, to Celestine, for bringing this series together, for enabling us to talk to people from all over the world in their areas of expertise. I mean, as I say, it's been a fantastic series, and we do hope that it can be repeated in the future. But if we could all give a round of applause rather than an award to Dr. Celestine, that would be lovely. So if people could turn off your cameras, turn your cameras on if that's okay, and let's get the sound on. And if we could give a nice round of applause, I think that's very, very deserving. Come on, everybody, show your faces for our Dr. Celestine.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, it's been a great series. It's been fantastic. So thank you very much. And Kelly, do you want to finish off the evening and in your stylish fashion and say goodnight to everybody.
Okay, guys, it's been very, very wonderful this evening, very educative. And I mean, I'm looking forward that by next year, you know, having this kind of series will probably come up anyways. Whatever happens, just make sure that you keep, you know, changing, keep adding value to the world, and keep affecting people's life in research, in whatever it is that you're doing. Just make sure that you don't create just a problem, you also solve a problem while creating it. Don't just be a spectator. And this is what I can say from my humble self, Kel, and of course, my co-moderator this evening, Abby. I'm sure she probably might have one or two things to say. Abby, do you have anything to say to everyone? Do you have anything?
I believe you said all. It's all good.
All right, I will finally hand over to Dr. Celestine, who is the driver for this November to Remember series. Probably he might have one more thing to say, if it's not good night anyways.
It's good night.
All right, guys, take care, and we will see you some other time.
Dr. Celestine, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Bye.
All right, bye.
See you in the spring.
Yeah.